Hi everyone, so for my discussion this week, I have decided to do prompt number 2. It talks about the media's responsibility in times of war and how the media should balance the public's supposed right to know and the government's supposed needs for secrecy. So to start this out, I really want to talk about the Civil War, which really brought major changes to the way that news reporting was done during wartime, and it really helped pave the way for how we're seeing news reporting today. So first of all, one way that the Civil War, transformed news reporting was through the use of technology. They used the telegraph which really made getting news out to the public faster. The Civil War also paved the road for the next generation, not just because of its speedy nature, but also because of its illustrations, such as drawings and photographs, which really helped centralize this war and really helped people form an opinion on it. The Civil War also saw military censorship. Wasn't very structured. Some people didn't think the rules applied to them, but it got to the point where both sides were telling each other secrets, so censorship was needed. The reporting also helped establish standards for immediacy in wartime coverage. That definitely continues today. And on page 175 in our textbook, there's a quote that I really like that kind of explains exactly news reporting's responsibility during this time, and it says, the Civil War set high standards for powerful news reporting. Stories that not only told what happened, but captured a sense of the battle, the personality of the generals, and the trauma of the event. So this news reporting really led to the way the public viewed war and and the opinions they had on that. So with that being said, today the media definitely should balance the public's right to know and the government's need for secrecy by working alongside the military. There is a need for reporters to be educated about the military and vice versa, with the military being educated about the media. So there should be coverage of war. However, the military believes there should be knowledge of what can and cannot be reported. Due to certain information getting out to the public. We saw this during the Civil War when, both sides were getting each other's secrets. So according to the military, control is necessary, especially in this age of rapid communication where a report, the press can report directly from the battlefield, and within seconds the whole world, including the enemy, can see the report, and this kind of aids in the enemy when we need it to be secrecy. So without these controls, a reporter could, unintentionally compromise U.S. forces. So the military views its control over their press as a matter of life and death. So, however, with these censorship laws like media pools, that is explained in this textbook for one of my other classes. It explains media pools as the press would be granted access, but only in the forms of closely supervised media pools, which are small groups of reporters representing several print and broadcast news organizations who would work under close supervision of the Department of Defense. So during the time, this was during the time of Operation Desert Storm, the media pools, so with this, camera coverage was only, or video footage was only provided from one camera and to several networks, so it was the same thing being showed over and over. So that was a sense of censorship during that war. And then the first time we saw this was Operation Desert Storm, and then these stories were news stories were also altered and censored. And then during this time, the Pentagon would give press briefings. This strategy of these intense censorship was revised in 2003 on the invasion of Iraq. However, it was saying, a select group of correspondents were able to go onto the battlefield. However, there were still strict limitations on the content of the reports. So this really did give the government all the power. They were censoring what can and can't be said. So is the public really getting what they needed out of this? And so another responsibility that the media had during wartime is the responsibility to try and obtain public opinion in favor of the war. So during wartime, the media benefits from this. The media benefits from this war coverage. So the media wants to tell a story, and at the same time, the military wants to win this war with minimum casualties. So, and above all, the military needs public support. So how do they do this? They do this through the media. So the media can tell military stories, and if there's rapport and understanding, then they can tell it well and effectively, and this can aid in propaganda. One way that we saw this was during 9/11 when reporters, reported on, it really sensationalized the story by showing crying civilians, showing first responders covered in ash, and there was even, President Bush on a pile of rubble with an American flag. That just screams sensationalism, and so this really helped evoke the war on terrorism.